my name is Chase, and today I'm going to be going over Jurassic World 2. And I remember being able to see this one in theaters, and I saw it with my grandpa and my sister, and it was super awesome. This was one of the best sequels that has been put into the franchise. This one was released 3 years after Jurassic World and is part of a new trilogy, and I really love these new movies. I think that this was a very good idea to be able to tell the story of what's happening after the fall of Jurassic World, and the island is wrecked and the park is trashed, and they actually go back to the island to try to save the dinosaurs, and that's actually what you think that the plot is going to be about. And then the island has a volcano problem, and that adds another layer of intensity to it. We have Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt returning for our main characters, and with that being said, I think we should get straight into Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. This one is very different than the other Jurassic movie, but it is also very similar to The Lost World, and I kind of like how this new trilogy of the Jurassic World is mirroring the trilogy of the Jurassic Parks. And so in this one we have the main characters returning to the island, but the opening scene is the InGen company coming to collect the DNA from the Indominus Rex at the end of the first movie. So they take a submarine into the Mosasaurus tank to be able to find the bones, and obviously that does not go well at all on a dark and stormy night. So something that's a really fun nod to the original novel, whenever the T-Rex was being described for the first time in the flashes of lightning, that's something they do here in this fifth movie whenever the guy is in the rain trying to operate the little machine panels. And it's coming around in the background, and it ends up getting him, and then the Mosasaurus is getting the people underneath the water. And I always thought that this was like such a really good opening. This might be one of my favorites when it comes to the openings of the movies, just because it's so quick and so intense, and the T-Rex part where it's grabbing the helicopter back and forth was just so fun to watch. And then you pretty much knew that whenever that thing was dangling over the water that it would come and eat it, but they were still able to get the bones back to the headquarters and to the Lockwood estate to be able to create a hybrid of raptors and the Indominus Rex, and that is going to be the newest main threat of this movie. Lockwood's assistant is telling her about how we need to be able to capture these animals, we can save them, but we need your help because smuggling these animals isn't exactly illegal. And so she convinces Owen to come and save the dinosaurs from, the burning island or whatever, and they have no idea what the true plan for these people's intentions are and what they're actually going to do with the dinosaurs. So they get to work on finding the dinosaurs pretty quickly, and they're out there trying to locate Blue, and Owen is very cautious of being able to be around her because he knows that it's been several years since he's had contact with her, so she may be wary or not even recognize him. But at the same time, he's also wanting to protect her and make sure that these other military people aren't going to hurt her. Obviously that ends up going bad, and they scare her, and she attacks one of them and ends up getting shot. That is another plot point that kicks into this movie. Chris Pratt gets pretty upset about that, or Owen's character, Owen. He gets pretty upset about that and goes to rush at the guy and gets shot with a tranquilizer dart. And the other girl pulls out a gun and was like, if you shoot me, that animal will die. I must protect her, I have to do surgery. They leave Owen behind, and boy, whenever all this was going on, I just thought about, it was so intense to be able to have this kind of a story be told. I thought that actually whenever they were having this other movie be made, that it was going to be another thing on the island the whole time, like The Lost World was. But they actually do all of their island stuff for pretty much the first part of the movie, and that consists of, Owen waking up and being kind of semi-paralyzed by the thing. Another one of my favorite parts is when Claire and Franklin are in the little holding cell and the dinosaurs coming after them to attack, but the lava starts pouring in through the ceiling, and he's screaming again, and it's just so funny, and they have to get up and out of that little shaft. That's where they meet Owen coming down the hill, and he's running with all of the dinosaurs. That is reminiscent of the first one because of the flock of Gallimimus and hiding behind the tree. It was just so crazy to be able to see such an intense scene like this. It really could work for the ending of a movie. I mean, I just felt like all of the dinosaurs rushing past and the lava falling from the sky. Like, it was such an epic disaster, and so many things were happening at once, and it was sad and terrifying. And how do you even deal with this? Leading to the part where they go over the cliff, I think that one of my favorite shots is whenever they're falling and they go straight to the water, because every time it gives me that, like, that pit in my feeling of, like, just not being able to cope with falling or being too high up, or the feeling of gravity. And I think that it was a really good way that it was filmed when they're inside the ball. They do a very good job of creating claustrophobic atmosphere and tension by the sinking of the water and not being able to get the door off. And I just love that whole aspect. It was a great, moment to be able to show the struggles of the characters. And something I learned in film school is you want your characters to be able to get what they're going after, but you want to make it the most difficult path make every obstacle in their way possible, but still allow them to get what they want in the end, or something like that. And so there's a lot of these moments in this movie where they do make things so difficult. It also has a really sad aspect because of all of the dinosaurs dying and the things that are getting left behind, and the animal cruelty and the people who just don't care. And I think that they're trying to make a point about that, and it's a very symbolistic between genetic power and power in general, and how we're just proving ourselves not capable of being able to use it responsibly. And that's what Ian Malcolm is saying. That's his return to this franchise, actually. He has a brief little cameo in this, and he's got the beginning and the end of just pretty much saying that we're not supposed to be messing around with this stuff. And that goes to show, because after a while, when we get back to the Lockwood estate, they're selling the dinosaurs to people all over the world to be able to use it as seed money to be able to create another new genetic lab of whatever reasons that they have now. And the little girl, who is the granddaughter of Lockwood, finds out about it, and she tells him, and everything goes to the side, obviously, and he gets busted, and Zoe ends up having to, like, murder Lockwood. That happens a little bit later in the film. But we also, later in the film, find out that the little girl is a clone, and that brings a whole other aspect to this, is that when does it stop? When does the genetics of the dinosaurs stop? And why would we want these militarized, and why would we want them roaming on our Earth? And do you not realize how bad it would be if we started bringing people back from the dead or cloning them? That would be such an incapable thing of doing. And if we did it, I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it's so should not be messed with, and it's already happened. And so just their attachment to Maisie is a really emotional aspect. I think also whenever they're doing the T-Rex transplant on the boat with the blood and the Velociraptor, that is another one of the funniest parts, because Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt have a great relationship and good chemistry, and they really can bring the characters of Owen and Claire together. They have just such a beautiful rapport, and one of the reasons why I like this one sometimes better than the first Jurassic World is because of the first one, because of the character development that we got, We're introduced to them in that one, and we like it obviously by the end, and that's what movies are for. But that's my thing with sequels, is you already have a history with these people. You already know them a little bit, so you can go into it, and it's just, I don't know, I feel more with this one, if that makes sense. So we're kind of at the part now where Maisie is being locked up in her room, and Owen and Claire are locked up in the basement because they've gotten back to the Lockwood estate and they've been found out, they've been captured. So this auction is going on with all of the richest people in the world bidding on all of these dinosaurs that they've just rescued, and they eventually end up getting to the point where they show the prototype. And now that's another cool aspect that they were talking about in this movie, is that something that does not have the prototype, that's something it doesn't have, is the ability to bond and communicate and listen, and it doesn't have all of its features, and actually some of its scales are flaking off, and it's not perfect because they need the blood from Blue to be able to make it more domestic. And that's something that I talked about in the Jurassic World one review, that is actually a topic that gets discussed in this movie, is they do the backstories about Blue, about how she's more intelligent and intellectual and empathetic. She has the ability to care and tend and bond and listen. And that plays in here, and they're trying to use that on this new Indoraptor. Now, of course, no one listens and they end up selling the prototype and it gets out, and because it doesn't have any of those behavioral things, it obviously eats everything and everyone and goes horribly, horribly wrong. But part of the thing that is nice is that I think for the most part in Jurassic World 2, only bad people get eaten. So like the hunter-poacher guy who was like ripping the teeth off the animals, he get what was coming to him, and it was so awesome by one of the coolest deaths, having his arm chomped off. I mean, he really deserved that. That guy was an ass. And then obviously the guys who were selling them, they get what's coming to them in the elevator too. Kicking off now the finale of this movie pretty much is the animals escaping and running wild, and Claire and Owen being able to stop the auction, and it was really just intense with the gas leak at the end, and what are they gonna do about that? I remember just feeling like so in awe, like, and not knowing where they were gonna go and wondering if this was gonna be like the last of it on a main continent. Like, are they gonna go back to the islands? Are they gonna get rid of the dinosaurs here? Or are they gonna break out and like be a part of Earth and spread around? Before the auction went completely to shit, there was still a lot of people who were buying the assets of the dinosaurs and trucking them out of there and leaving. So there's plenty of things that are already being shipped around the world. When we get to the part where the little girl's being chased around the house, that gives me such intense chills, because I'd always, thought about Jurassic World when I was younger and being a kid and stuff, and I would run around my house pretending to be chased by a dinosaur. Like, who didn't do that? And for some reason, there was just an interesting aspect to me to see like a dinosaur like attacking someone in their house. Like, that was something we'd never really seen before, and we got a little bit of that in The Lost World, but it was just kind of roaming around San Diego. This whole like, what would you do thing if it was coming after you in an environment that you're so, like what would, and how would that even, it literally would be the most terrifying thing. And one of my favorite shots as well is when it's up on the roof and they do like this whole like sliding upside down turning shot to be able to show it reaching in through the window and grabbing onto her bed. Then Blue comes in and saves the day, and of course everyone loves that part because we have a connection with Blue, and she'd survived her surgeries from being shot, and she steps up like Owen's little guard dog again, and I really, really love that aspect. And of course they have their own little battle in the room and on the roof and stuff. That leads them to a little glass area, and after they were running around, the museum and stuff where Claire got hurt, she's able to get the gun and come back and be able to trigger the monster. She aims it at Owen and he slides or whatever, and it breaks through the glass, and then Blue jumps on top of it and pushes it down, and it lands on the bones of a triceratop horns, and it impales it, and it was this cool slow motion shot, and it was really just like so emotional and like satisfying at the same time as being like crazy, because you're so happy that like the threat is gone, but it just is, not really. At least they're in this area safe, at least this immediate danger is gone. And we come to the end where Blue wants to run off and Owen is trying to save her. He's like, come back with us. And she doesn't want to. She looks at him and she can't be in a cage anymore, and she understands she has to run away. Right before that though, when the gas leak was happening and all of the animals were being held in the thing, I really thought that was going to happen. I mean, I thought Claire was going to let it go and let them go. And when she didn't, I really thought it was going to be that way. I thought that they were going to kill the dinosaurs off, and I thought maybe this might have been the end of it, and I couldn't fathom how she would come to that. But then the little girl lets them go, and luckily that guy at the end gets trampled by all the other dinosaurs and eaten by the T-Rex and the other one. But that just leaves the, playing field wide open for this next one, and they're driving away at the end and they're seeing Blue, in the mountains where people's homes are. And if you watch the ending credit scene, there's actually some pterodactyls that fly to Las Vegas. So I'm really very interested to see where they go with this. Overall, I thought this was one of the best installments of the franchise. It was a great sequel. It literally felt like a perfect connection to Jurassic World, and it did its own thing. It was a very, very different movie completely from Jurassic World, and I like that. This is the DVD that I have. I didn't buy the Blu-rays of these because I think I have those copies at home in Ohio, so I just have the regular ones here. But I love the artwork. It was beautiful. It's the same as the theater poster, and the back artwork is really nice, I've said this hundreds of times, but the whole, you know, if I didn't have it on DVD, then I didn't get to watch it because growing up in Ohio, I had no Wi-Fi and I couldn't, you know, stream things or buy things like that. So always got to have the DVDs of things, and plus I'm a collector, I really love them, and this is just the perfect movie to be able to add to your Jurassic World collection. So tell me what your opinions were and share them in the comment section. You know, what are your thoughts about the Jurassic World versus the parks, and are there some that you do like or don't like? And be sure to check out some of my other videos. I've done a couple of different genres here, and be sure to check back for whenever I post something new. Alright, thanks for watching my videos. Alright, bye.